All right, Ron.
Okay. I just want to let everybody know, we're getting close to the season. It'd be a good idea to start walking or getting yourself limbered up because we're all getting a year older and you don't want to get an injury early in the season. So it's important to go walk or do something. Okay? That's probably the most important thing. Make sure that whatever Andre sent to you, if you have games sitting out there, make sure you click on them and let him know what's going on because he's reassigning now the ones that are coming back. So make sure we get that going. He's trying to get the season out of the way. So that's pretty much all I have. I'll go ahead and mute myself now.
Okay, thanks, Ron. As Ron said, all the varsity games for the most part have been assigned, most of them. There will be some turnbacks. I've only assigned a couple youth games. I'm holding off on the youth games to wait for a lot of the new people to finish their training. And then I'll spread out some of the youth games for people based on when those schedules start coming in. Some of them, the early season ones, I have assigned. If you are new, you're going to stay on this meeting after everybody leaves because we do need to go over setting yourself up in Horizon, making sure between me and Jeff and you that you are getting all your requirements done for certification so that you can officiate. Just FYI, Kelly, I got your text that you're with Mitch. I did see you on the couch there or wherever you guys are also. So I see you sitting there. So we're all good. But unless anybody has any questions at this point, we're going to start the PowerPoint presentation. Jeff will take you through it as we play it. And we have the rules video. The rules video will be posted on Horizon, so you'll be able to review it. The video we are videoing or recording this meeting so that once we're done, we're going to upload it to our YouTube page, and then you'll be able to view it again if you need to. So unless anybody has any questions, we're going to, Jim, is there anything you want to say for the coaches before we begin? You're muted, Jimmy, if you do want to talk.
You have to excuse me. I just got off work, so I'm sitting in the car. I don't. Each of the guys, go right ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, making sure everybody can see that.
Welcome to the 2023 Boys High School Lacrosse Rules and Officiating video
You guys
presented
hear
by
that?
USA Lacrosse.
Okay.
This video was created to prepare and educate the lacrosse community for the upcoming lacrosse season and is for educational purposes. To set the agenda for this presentation, we will cover several important aspects of the game. We will also discuss the committee's points of emphasis. Points of emphasis. The NFHS and USA Lacrosse Boys Lacrosse Rules Committees have addressed the following items as points of emphasis for the 2023 season. The NFHS and USA Lacrosse advocate for continued commitment by all participants, players, fans, spectators, and others, to respect the game and each other. This respect and decorum should be demonstrated on the field and off the field at all times. Participants are asked to monitor and maintain sportsmanship while encouraging both teams involved in the contest. Participants are reminded that comments directed towards coaches, players, and officials are expected to be positive in nature. Additionally, the committees voted to continue a point of emphasis on player safety rules, specifically wearing the helmet securely. A properly fitted helmet is essential for the safety of the player. This includes using the proper size helmet and ensuring that a 4-point chin strap is worn and safely secured as designed by the manufacturer. If a helmet can be removed without unbuckling the chin strap, it is not properly fitted and secured and should be checked by a parent, coach, or athletic trainer. The NFHS and USA Lacrosse have aligned with other sports to standardize the use of eye shade. Eye shade, grease or non-glare strips or stickers, shall be a solid stroke and may not include words, numbers, logos, or other symbols. This rule should be enforced by officials before the game begins by reminding coaches that a player may be sent off if it is noticed during the game. Building upon the rule change from last year, the rules committees want to emphasize the proper procedures for face-offs. Upon the whistle starting play, each player must attempt to play the ball first. A player may clamp the ball with the back of the stick, but it must be moved, raked, or directed immediately. A player may not lie on the ball or trap it with his cross longer than it is necessary to control the ball and pick it up with one continuous motion. Under a running clock situation in the second half, when a penalty expires during a face-off period, the player may not re-enter the game until the face-off is completed. This should be communicated to the table crew and the offending player before the next face-off to avoid confusion. The NFHS and USA Lacrosse have partnered to provide the most up-to-date mechanics for officials. Specifically, the NFHS Boys Lacrosse Committee has adopted the USA Lacrosse 2-person and 3-person mechanics manuals. These manuals allow officials, coaches, players, and spectators to see consistency in high school officiating across the country. To access this free resource, go to the USA Lacrosse website. Major rule changes for 2023. The following section discusses the major rule changes and clarifications for the 2023 season. Rule 1-2-1 Field Markings. Failure to have a clearly marked center line that runs the entire width of the field, a continuous sideline, or end lines shall be penalized as illegal procedure and assessed against the home team prior to the start of the game. Possession will be awarded to the visiting team. Logos running through the end zone of many football fields are often placed on the end line for lacrosse. The end line for lacrosse is just as important as the midline. The penalty for not having a solid end line or sideline should also be illegal procedure against the home team if the situation cannot be fixed prior to the start of the game. This violation should be communicated to the local assigning authority so it may be corrected prior to any future games. Rule 1-2-7 and 1-2-8 Table and coaches areas. Where physically possible, the scorer's table should be placed at least 6 yards from the sideline at the center line. 2 lines shall be drawn on either side of the center line, 5 yards from the center line and extending past the scorer's table. The area bounded by the sideline, the 2 lines perpendicular to the sideline, and the scorer's table shall be referred to as the table area. Only players serving penalty time, players ready to substitute on the fly, the chief bench official, and official scorers and timers are allowed in the table area. The coaches area shall be located on either side of the table area. Each coaches area shall extend from the table and parallel to the sideline. It shall be bounded by the sideline, the table area, a dotted line 6 yards from and parallel to the sideline, and a dotted line extending from the sideline, parallel to and 20 yards from the table area. This rule change standardizes the box with other rule codes including NFHS Girls Lacrosse and NCAA Men's Lacrosse. This change increases the amount of control an official has while substitutes are entering and exiting the field. Rule 1-7-1 Cross Construction. Article 4. The pocket or net shall be completely attached to the head and the sidewalls, having no holes or gaps larger than 1.68 inches in diameter. There has been an increased use of a stringing technique which allows for trapping the ball in such a manner where the stick will pass the stick check, but when force is applied, the mesh stretches and entraps the ball. Rule 1-8 Cross Prohibitions. No player shall use a cross that does not meet the specifications of Sections 6 and 7. The cross shall not have protrusions or sharp edges. Recent innovations by stick manufacturers could hook or catch on a player's helmet or face mask, thereby potentially causing injury. Rule 1-9-1G Player Equipment. Shoes. Shoes shall be worn which meet the specifications of 1-9-1. Metal spikes are not permitted. Modern design has standardized the shoe use for outdoor field sports, and this section is no longer needed in the detail currently in use. Rule 4-3-1 Facing off at the beginning of a period. Play shall be started at the beginning of each period and after each goal by facing the ball at center. Exceptions: player advantage or flag down creating a player advantage. Player or team commits a foul before any face-off. Player at any face-off delays resumption of play. And the player moves the cross or body after set is said, gaining an advantage. Restarting the game has been unclear due to the way the rule was written. This rewrite simplifies the rule direction and places clarifications back into situations. Rule 4-24-1 and 4-24-8, officials' timeouts. An official may suspend play at their discretion. If a player loses any of their mandatory personal equipment in a scrimmage area where a player is apparently injured, play shall be suspended immediately. A goalkeeper, when outside the crease, is treated like a field player. Play shall be suspended immediately if the goalkeeper's stick or any other mandatory goalkeeper's equipment becomes broken in the crease. The previous rules did not define what happens when a goalkeeper is injured when away from his crease and outside the scrimmage area. Should a goalkeeper be outside of the crease and break his stick, get injured, or any of the other situations that may occur to a field player, play will continue as it would for any field player. Rule 6-10-2, Stalling. Article 2. The stall warning remains in effect until a goal is scored, a shot is taken above the goal line extended and hits the goal pipes, goalkeeper, or his equipment, the defensive team gains possession of the ball, or the period ends resulting in a face-off. After the team has been warned, stalling shall be called if the ball leaves the goal area in any manner other than as a result of a shot or a touch by the defending team. This rule clarifies that a valid shot shall meet the criteria for a stall warning to remain in effect. If the offensive team starts outside of the offensive area, they shall be given a get it in, keep it in warning and have 10 seconds to advance the ball into the offensive area. Rule 7-2H, penalty time. During running penalty time will start with the whistle resuming play after the penalty is administered. If there is time remaining on a non-releasable penalty when a goal is scored, the earliest the penalty will release is when the ensuing face-off has been completed. This rule solves an administrative challenge for officials to monitor penalty time expirations and player re-entry while conducting a face-off. USA Lacrosse and the NFHS would like to thank you for watching the 2023 Boys High School Rules Interpretation. For more information about the rules, interpretations, memos, or more resources, visit the USA Lacrosse website.
This mistake is costing Amazon Prime shoppers.
You got a question, Jeff? Still muted. Jeff, Jeff Dreisbach, if you have a question, just unmute yourself and go ahead. Let me see if I can unmute him. I can't unmute you. Jeff, we can't hear you. If you have your question, you want to type it? There we go.
Had that turned off.
There you go. Now
That means the box goes back to the way it used to be, 5 and 5 on either side of the center line.
that's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions on the video? We're going to go through quickly.
Hey, Andre, just one thing for us, so the coaches know, a lot of them can't really change their fields. So, I mean, I'm not sure. We want to make sure it's consistent throughout the state. So, I mean, I know probably Jeff and you maybe have talked about this. What are they doing in PA when there's a field that's not going to meet these standards?
As far the PIA, they're sticking by the rule, and what it is that you just lose the opening face-off and then you play ball. But more than likely, coaches will say that they don't want that, and they're going to have a face-off.
We probably should get together with Jimmy Hill, and it's not a safety issue. So, I mean, if the league wants to make a modification, I don't really have an issue with it, Jeff.
No.
So we'll get together with Jim, me, Ron, Jeff, and Jim will get together and talk about what we want to do, if we want to waive that, because I know a lot of you probably can't are not allowed to paint a line through the middle of your field. So we'll get together with Jimmy and talk about it, and we'll send an email out to everybody.
As officials, we would appreciate not having to not have a face-off.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we don't want to. We'd rather just face off. So.
Yeah, I think with that goalie rule with the equipment breaking outside the crease, one of the things they talked about at the convention, the goalie is not then allowed to re-enter the crease without equipment. So that caveat too, it's nice they changed the rule that if the goalie equipment breaks outside the crease, we don't stop play. But important to note that the goalie can't then get in the crease without proper equipment.
Yeah, we're good with that as well.
Hey, Andre, I have a quick question.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I heard Coach Dreisbach correctly because I'm not sure I fully caught that in the video. So you're saying that the sub box is now 10 total yards in length as opposed to 20?
That's correct. It's went back to what it used to be before, or we're back to the same as college now, that it's 10-yard box.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And that's for coming in and going out, entering and leaving.
The substitution area, the penalty area. So it'll be 45 on the 2 45-yard lines is where those cones will be put on the sideline. And just remember, coaches and officials, the bench side sideline, there should not be a cone at midfield. On the far side, opposite the benches, there should be a cone at midfield on the 50. Don't put a cone on the 50-yard line at midfield on the bench sideline, because that's where people are subbing in and out. You only put cones at the 45s to define where the sub box is. You can't put a cone at midfield in the back of the sub box out, right by the table. But there should not be a cone at the 50-yard line, on the sideline, on the bench's sideline, only on the non-bench sideline, far side. Just an FYI.
Hey guys, in a running clock situation, the substitutions, are they or sorry, not substitutions, the penalty release on a running clock situation at a face-off, are they releasing at possession or at the whistle?
Possession.
Okay, thanks.
So if their time runs out and we haven't called possession, they just have to stay there.
Great.
Anything else before we move on to going through the spreadsheet, PowerPoint? All right, here we go. Jeff?
Okay, we kind of went over this one already, because there's a lot of fields that we use dotted lines for sidelines or for inlines, or we don't go through the middle of the center line because of the logo. Their thinking on this was that now lacrosse is getting beyond being a secondary sport. There's a lot of turf fields out there, and they're trying to push to make sure that everybody now has solid lines for the whole field. As Andre had said earlier, in West Virginia here, maybe what we should do is we get together with Jim and whoever else and make a decision before the season starts, since we have so many fields that do have dotted lines for sidelines or inlines or the center line, and say that we're going to pass on this. They asked me what was happening in Pennsylvania. Currently, they're sticking to the rule, and as it says, you just don't have an open and face-off, and then you play ball. And most coaches kind of made a gentlemanly agreement that they weren't going to ask for this to be enforced. They were still going to have the face-off. That's just an example of a field there where the line is not continuously. You can see where the O is or where the F is, that they stopped the line, and that's where they were saying that you had to put the line continuously through those letters. The box, the substitution box, we're reducing it back to 10 yards. If you remember, it was 10 yards previously. Then we went to 20. It's back to 10. The coaches area has now been increased to 20 yards. So in other words, that extra 5 yards from those who do it on a football field, that extra 5 yards from the 40 to the 45 is now going to be added coaches area. Other than that, don't get it confused with watching on Saturday where you don't see any guys up there. We, in the college game, that space is just a buffer zone that guys could go through, but it's still there off the field. For you all can come up to the box area. And there's an example of how that's going to be. The coaches area goes all the way to the line there. That sub area, again, is a 10 area box. And the table we like to have back at 6 yards if possible.
Please note it says that the diagram printed in the rule book is incorrect. Okay, so this is the correct diagram.
Especially for the unified field.
And I'm going to post this PowerPoint, and it will be posted on Horizon so both coaches and officials can download it and look at it if needed.
Okay. There's been a lot of, what I want to say, creative stringing that's been going on. So what they decided to say was that now you can have no holes or gaps larger than 1.68 inches or the diameter of an American golf ball. And we did ask. Apparently, golf balls are not the same in all countries. So are we asking officials to carry a golf ball in their pocket so that they can check that out? No, we are not. Just know fairly what size a golf ball is, and if something is larger than need, these two sticks that they show here are illegal. So if that happens, we have an illegal stick. That'll be 2 minutes. They have to make a change to the stick to bring it back into the game. These are the protrusions that they were talking about. They brought them out last year. Nobody kind of knew what to do with them. Then they were legal. Then they made them illegal. And then the company came back and made them smaller. We're saying that they can't have protrusions at all. Any stick, any cross that has a protrusion or sharp edges, anything that can hook onto a helmet, a face mask, or clothing is illegal. So flat out, they just can't be used, period. This one we like. They took probably a page and a half out about the shoes, and I'll just make it real quick. No metal spikes. Basically anything that's determined as an athletic shoe for sportswear, they can wear. Just no metal spikes. Eye shade. That one is a point of emphasis from the National Federation of High School that's being pushed down on everybody else, that's being pushed down on the officials, and this year we are mandated to penalize the team, not the team, the player that does this. So if the player comes out, he does not have the just 1 inch stroke under the eye, eye black like he's supposed to have, no writing or anything like that. If they come out with the kiss face or all the terror stuff, that's a 1 minute penalty, and he cannot come back until he gets that corrected. So this year, if we have it out there that a player has, like I said, has it all over the place or has the words that don't need to be, it is a 1 minute penalty. We'll do our best as officials to find that before the game. Coaches, please tell your players that they're going to get rang up, and as you are aware, that stuff is really difficult to get off. And if he has it, it's going to be a 1 minute penalty, and he can't come back until he gets it off. So please have them alerted to this, and officials, please make this call. It is in the book. They had a question before, what do you do? It is 1 minute. non-releasable penalty that goes towards your 5 minutes of time. Basically, it is an illegal piece of equipment to have your face all made up. There's the proper on the left. That on the right gets them a minute. And like I say, very hard to remove. Okay, they wanted to clarify on our face-off, basically that it's going to start, as we know, at the beginning of each period or after a goal. And they wanted to make it clear, player advantage or a flag down creating a player advantage. In other words, they wanted to say player advantage. If you have 9 on 10, that is a man advantage. Somebody has the ball, they're going to keep the ball. If you're 10 on 10, but there's a flag down and the period ends, that person is going to the box, making it 9 on 10. Again, that's going to be no face-off. Vice versa, if it's 10 on 9, in that flag situation is going to create 9 on 9 or 8 on 8, we're going to have a face-off. So if the teams are even, basically we're going to have a face-off. The others are straightforward. It's what we had before. If you do something to the dead ball, delay, get some kind of conduct foul or something like that, you're not going to have a face-off, as well as somebody delaying the face-off. And the others are just basically like a false start. If somebody moves after set, then of course we're going to stop it and award the ball. Is there any question on that before I move on?
I'm going to add one thing if I can.
Sure.
So this is for the coaches. This happens every year, all the time. When there's a flag down that ends the period, and that makes the field uneven, so one team has an advantage, the ball will be awarded to the team who is going man up. Coaches all the time go, well, we have possession. It doesn't matter. We're not going to face off if there's a flag down and it's a slow whistle and we're waiting for a play to stop before we blow the whistle for the conditions to occur. If we don't get a chance to stop play and restart play before that quarter is over, when we start the new quarter because the flag was down and we hadn't administered a penalty, there will not be a face-off if it creates a man advantage. There's a bunch of times I see players, coach tell them to hold the ball. It's not going to matter. We're not going to face off. Or, the ball's loose. We should face off. We're not going to face off. Okay? Because there's a man advantage. We are going to start the period with the team awarded the ball because we're man up. And that's the rule. So please make sure you're aware of that. All right, next thing.
Well, before you go on to the next one, a point of emphasis also this year on the face-off is players have to play the ball first. They cannot body check. They have to play the ball first on the whistle. It'll be a point of emphasis. It'll be pushed down on the officials to make sure that the players do play the ball first. If they do not play the ball first, it'll violate and it'll just go to the other team. This one was the one that Joey was talking about. A goalkeeper wins outside the crease. He's going to be treated like a field player. Let me say how that works, or how they are expecting it to work. If a goalie makes a save, decides to clear the ball himself, he gets up to the midline and gets rid of the ball, and something breaks, or he loses his stick. Before, that was a stoppage. Now that's not a stoppage. He's treated like a regular player. Play will continue, and that team can go. On the same side of it, only a legally equipped goalie can be inside the crease to defend. So if he's only, say, 10 yards away from the goal, when he loses a stick, he decides to run back and try to defend. We have the penalty the same as a long stick jumping in there. Why the discretion? It would be a penalty the same as any other player playing without a stick. And so that's a technical foul. But if this is the second occurrence of somebody trying to defend that isn't legally equipped to defend, that may be a 1 minute penalty instead of just the 30-second penalty. Now, in saying that, if we have another situation where he's trying to clear, he loses the ball, we have a scrum, he loses something, and the ball becomes dead by rule. At that point in time, we will stop and allow him to get his equipment repaired or replaced or be substituted for, because we have to have a legal goalie on the field to play. So again, if we have a stoppage in that type of situation, we will allow time for them to correct it so that they have a legally equipped goalie in the game. Any questions on that? Okay. During running time, the penalty time will start with the whistle, resuming play after the penalty is administered. And when we have that running time, the penalty is also running time. If there's time remaining on a non-releasable penalty when a goal is scored, the earliest the penalty will release is when the ensuing faceoff has been completed. They word it like that to say that what we're going to tell the table is, hey, if this time runs out, while we're doing the face-off, until possession is called or a whistle has stopped play in that face-off, we're going to award the ball, that gentleman has to stay in the box. It's just lining it up with what we had before. If somebody's time ran out, 2 seconds left, and their time ran out during the face-off, they couldn't come on the field anyway until possession was called or until we had a whistle stop and play and we weren't having a face-off. During normal play, A1 makes pass to A2 while the ball is in flight. B1 commits technical foul or a personal foul. The official calls play on, and the play on is over if the pass is completed. And if not completed, award the ball to team A, and the others are flagged down, and it's going to be a slow whistle, not an immediate whistle. Now, the reason why they put that in, again, clarification, this more or less lines up with the actual rule of a loose ball. And in this case, we have that player who throws the pass, he gets pushed while the ball's in the air, we'll call play on, the pass is completed, play on's over, and if it's not completed, we'll just stop it and award the ball back to that team. Now, on the second part, the change in it is a change for the officials. Before, whenever it's still by rule in high school, we have a loose ball and a personal foul, we are to stop it and go ahead and adjudicate the foul. In this case, where it's a pass, we'll throw the flag down and we'll let the play continue. This one here is before, for those of us that are older and used to the game. If the player was running down the field, he was free and clear of everybody. He lost the shoe, he lost the glove. As long as nobody was around him, we allowed play to continue and allowed him the opportunity to pass the ball away or even shoot if nobody was defending him. That has changed now. If somebody loses that equipment, it's an immediate stoppage. Have them put that equipment back on or restart the game with them still having the ball. So that's the big change in it, is that it doesn't matter if he's free and clear now. If somebody that is in possession of the ball loses any mandatory equipment, it is now an immediate stop. This here was just to clarify more about the stalling rule. After a team has been awarded, stalling has been called if the ball leaves the goal area in any manner other than a result of a shot on goal or a touch by the defending team. Now they're saying it doesn't have to be a shot on goal. It just has to be an actual shot. Before, like I said, we wanted it to be on goal, touching the goalie or touching the pipes before we would allow them to retrieve that ball. Now it doesn't have to be that way. It has to just be a legitimate shot. In other words, you can't take it from behind the pipes and still go and retrieve the ball. That's not a legitimate shot. But he can take a shot, and we've all seen it in this game at some point in time where a guy is coming across in front of the goalie, lines up, takes the shot, goes nowhere near the goalie. It goes straight out to the alley for some reason or another. And now they can retrieve it. They won't be penalized. It doesn't kill their stalling, but they now can retrieve it and get back into the box. Again, during the course of play, goalie stick becomes broken or any other mandatory equipment becomes broken or dislodged. We'll stop it as soon as we notice the problem. That is a big one that we notice it. They need to tell us, and that's if that goalkeeper is in the crease. So that's just reiterating our rule earlier that if he's outside the crease and breaks something, this doesn't apply. But if he's inside the crease, then as soon as we are alerted to or notice that there's a problem, we will stop immediately. Points of emphasis again. We want to make sure that the players, officials, and coaches are pushing sportsmanship, but we decided that for our thing this year, we were going to make a change, that we needed to become aware of racially insensitive or sexual identity-based remarks between players. If we as officials hear it, we need to make sure that we address that immediately, which is going to be an unsportsmanlike penalty for 1 to 3 minutes. Objections coming with that. But we were kind of, I don't know, in a gray area and confused as to what we do if we don't hear it and somebody reports it to us. Well, now, if the official fails to hear the remark but is reported to him by a player, the official must approach the potentially offending team's head coach and report that to the head coach what they were told. So now, let's at least tell that head coach that the player was accused of making one of those types of remarks, and that'll allow him to address it and make sure. It's just that we don't stand on our hands as officials simply because we didn't hear the remark. Okay, this one's a big one this year, and there's a lot of films out there. The helmet should fit properly, chin straps should be worn, and safely secured as designed by the manufacturer. We have a lot of guys out there that get hit, the helmets go flying off. If you see a player who's able to take his helmet off without unbuckling, he can just take it, grab it, and roll it off. That's not a properly worn helmet. That's a helmet that should be fitted properly. A player should not be able to take his helmet off without unsnapping it. Second, for some reason or other, noticed it a lot in travel ball. It is happening in college and I guess being pushed down to high school now, where players are now also putting their face mask up around their mouth rather than putting their chin strap up around their mouth rather than under their chin. Again, that's improperly worn. Should we see it, we're going to tell the player of it and have him correct it. But coaches, please be aware that how your players are wearing their helmets and teach them and have them wear those helmets correctly. We have too many head injuries not to have a properly worn helmet. The eye shade, again, talked about it earlier. Again, they're pushing down on this. Officials this year are being told you will enforce this. That if it is all over the place, not that single stroke, without the words, without the logos, then it's a 1 minute non-releasable penalty until they address that situation. Face-offs. Player may clamp with the back of the stick, but it must be moved, raked, and directed immediately. A player may not allow the ball, trap it with the cross longer than necessary to control. Basically, what we're saying is, one, the players have to play the ball immediately. Two, once he controls it, he has to move the ball. So when he goes over and he controls that ball, he needs to move it. If he clamps over, he looks up and looks for somebody, that's withholding. He clamps, spins, the ball does not move. Again, that is withholding. He needs to have it out, rake it, have that ball moving in order for it not to be withholding on that player. The others will catch as far as somebody holding him down or holding his cross down, but the player himself, he's got to have the ball moved immediately. He has to begin that rake. We've gone over this before. Again, it's just it's added into the point of emphasis as well to make sure that they understand that they can't re-enter the game until the face-off is completed if you're still serving penalty time in that during the face-off. Here's how to get a hold of me. I did change my email address to make sure that my lacrosse questions aren't mixed in with everything else. Not sure whose cell phone that is.
Oh.
That's my work cell phone from 2008.
You wanna give the correct cell phone number?
My correct cell phone number is 304-365-3304. Wow, that's old.
Hey Jeff, this is Ron. Hey, I read down through the rules for youth. Are you gonna talk about that one, the rule change for youth? It was saying that all penalties will not be releasable now. They'll have to serve the entire penalty. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, sir, you did. That is the major rule change for youth, that youth now has to serve full time. They went around and around about that before they made that decision, and they were feeling that a lot of players who fouled in youth were not understanding what they had done. And what I mean by that is that they disadvantaged their team or anything like that. So a way to be, it seems unfair by this. Let me state this example. You have a team that's really good playing a team that maybe just began, and that kid did a 30-second push. Well, that team scores now 3 goals in that 30 seconds and hasn't been locked in. That really seems to looking at it from a coach's standpoint, really seems to be unfair. But they were thinking that because that team that was really good scored really quickly, scored within 5 to 10 seconds, that kid only spent that 5 or 10 seconds and he's back on the field. And he's not understanding the importance of him staying on the field and not fouling. So that's close, 365. But like I said, we didn't have a part in that. They went around and around about that, and they felt that in the U10 and U8 players fouled, and then they left the field, but the team stayed full strength, and then now they're in 12, and they're just serving half or less of the penalty that they committed, that they needed to send a message, and so they went with full-time serving. For me personally, that's kind of what we do anymore. We have something and it's swinging to one side and it needs to be maybe pushed back to the middle. We always seem to just take it all the way back to the left. I don't know why, but that's what they've done.
Any other questions?
Hey, I was wondering if we could go back to the stalling rule for a minute. I'm not sure I understand that in its entirety.
Okay, the stalling rule for high school, of course, is in the last 2 minutes. And if you're ahead by 4 goals or less, the team that's ahead is going to be forced to stay in the box by rule. We can't have the other stalling still in place if we feel the team isn't playing offense, and again, have them stay in the box. Well, before, the team took a shot, and we basically were saying, unless it was on goal or near goal, we weren't going to allow them to go outside the box in order to get the ball. So they took that out and said that it doesn't have to be on goal, because we still have players that take bad shots, really bad shots. What it has to be is determined as a shot. We're not going to let you take a shot from behind the goal. There's no way that can score, and that goes past everybody and goes outside the box and allow the offense to retrieve it. That's going to be a turnover.
Okay, so like putting forth like this situation, let's say my team is under a stall warning. We have the ball and we take a legitimate shot like above GLE, doesn't hit the goalie or anything, and goes out of bounds like at the end line. At that point, is there no longer a stall warning in place, or there is still a stall warning until like it gets on cage?
There is still a stall warning in place. You're still going to be, even on the other one, there's still a stall warning in place. It's just before, we weren't going to allow you to retrieve it if it ended up outside the box. In order for it to be off, that one has to hit the front of the pipes, hit the goalie, or score.
Okay, so my second situation, right, and I think I know the answer to this. So we take a legitimate shot above GLE, and the shot goes out of bounds like on the sideline, right, outside of the box. We will maintain possession and have a new 10 seconds to re-enter the box and continue the stall warning. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that is, any other questions? Sorry.
This is Brandon Gorell. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Sure.
The only thing to get back into the non-releasable for the youth, what are we doing? I read a thing, and I might be wrong about this, but they were taking away all the 30-second penalties, and everything was going to be a minute or more, and then unreleasable. Just getting a clarification on that.
No. Penalties will stay as they were. A push is still 30 seconds. A hold is still 30 seconds. It's just that the releasable option has been taken away.
All right. Thank you.
The other question that they asked, I'll just throw that out there. Again, officials weren't able to voice their opinions here. But some of the coaches said, well, if it's all non-releasable, what's the difference between a slash and a headshot? It's just more minutes, but he's still non-releasable. In youth, you got to remember that it's 3 personal fouls and 5 minutes. So although everything is non-releasable, those minutes and those personal fouls still add up to a point where they're going to be disqualified early.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Jeff Strange. On the helmet rule, what about the kids? We all have a kid that loves to tilt their helmet way down forward so that for lack of a better term, the brim of their helmet is right at their eyes. Is that legal, or under the new helmet rule, is that prohibited?
Well, let me say first, it's a point of emphasis, because it's hard to say whether that helmet is locked in or not. Our point is that the helmet is supposed to create protection. It creates protection when it's secured properly, squared on the face, evened on the face, 4-point strapped, and the strap is there, and you cannot remove it or adjust it without taking off those straps. There is, for lack of another way to say it, and for all the old people here, you're going to have some kids that wear their helmet cockeyed. But if the helmet is on strong, for lack of another way to say it, it's still protecting as it should be, then we're okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hey, this is Brad. Something Andre and I have, and Jimmy, and we've gone back and forth on refs down here in the South. As I understand it, I have some refs, some recent college grads. One of them's Patrick Tiffy, that is who played D3 and has refed. I just want you know, we're trying to get as many guys reffing down here, and hope that he's in the pipeline to ramp up the volume for our numbers of refs in the South. Are y'all aware of that?
Patrick sent me an email today. The first time he's contacted us before, 2 years in a row. Never took the training. Didn't wanted the rep without taking the training, which we said you couldn't do. And then again, he just emailed me today. I'm happy to get him through the training, but I don't know if there's any games for him at this point because they've almost all been assigned. So, I mean, I'm happy to have him, but he needs to do the training. He needs to go through the training, and he needs to do and meet the requirements for certification, not just for training regulations, but just so that he is not out there reffing, not being certified, and the legal ramifications of something like that are also bad. So,
right. I think he's
late to the game right now.
I think there's a referees only session after this, correct?
Yes.
And I think he's jumping on there. I'm going to text him right now. So he knows the game, and he'll zip through it, and he'll do whatever you all need to do if we can expedite it. But is Mitch and all of our other great refs down here know? I mean, we just need more referees and guys that have played. Patrick will take the steps and do whatever he has to do. Is that okay with you all?
Yeah, I mean that's what we need. I'm happy to take anybody, but you have to go through everything. You can't. There's no shortcut.
Okay. So. Well, I mean, Andre, we've known each other forever, and Jeff, you know me. I mean, Patrick's solid. I mean, and talking to any other D1 coaches here, you would want Patrick on your field reffing a game. So if I can vouch for that, that's just what I'm saying. And he'll do whatever it takes.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Andre, speaking of the qualifications.
Yes, sir.
I know y'all were going through and revamping some of the stuff they need to do, but can you send me an updated list? You or Jeff send me an updated list of what people would have to do as far as class-wise and everything in order to become certified. I know they have to do the actual on-field, but then also anything aside from that, the on-field practical they have to do. Can you send me all that information as far as what y'all updated?
I'll have Jeff send that to you. It's basically they take the online portion of the class, and then they'll have a couple sessions online with Jeff, and then they'll do the on-field part. But I'll have Jeff send the information to you, Jimmy, of what is required of people to do to become certified as an official. I'll make sure he sends that to you. Got that, Jeff?
Okay, I appreciate it. Then also one quick thing on what Jeff Strange brought up. To quote what Tremaine, my oldest son, and Jamon both call it, he was speaking towards the kids that like to actually get the full tilt of the helmet to where it's down low enough to see out the top of bar and right below the brim. Basically, as long as that still has the 4 points of contact and it is secured by the chin strap, that tilt would be legal as long as it's secured by the chin strap and you can't just lift the helmet and remove it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Hey guys, can you just repeat that? Only because you were breaking up, Jim.
Oh, okay. Basically, most of the guys tilt their helmets down low enough to where they can see out the top bar and right below the brim. And just going off of what Jeff said and what I was getting the clarification on, as long as I can't lift that helmet and take it off, the chin strap secures it. As long as that chin strap secures it, that would be a legal way of wearing the helmet because it is still covering the chin. It's still covering your eyes or your face as it should, and it's still secured with all 4 points of the chin strap as it should be.
Got that?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's no other questions. This is my contact information also. So if you have a rules question as coaches, please email Jeff. If you email me, I'm just going to reply. Please email Jeff. If you see me on the field and want to ask me a question, I'm happy to do it. But Jeff is our rules interpreter. He is the guru. He is the person you want to go to get the 100% correct information. So you can call him now that I showed the correct phone number, 304-365-3304. And you can email him as well. And again, that new email address for Jeff is mloa.interpreter@yahoo.com. And then that's my information. Please, some people are still using my old email address. Please make sure you use this one. Most people are using this one, which is great, but it's assigner.mloa@gmail. And then my phone number is the same. So those are the ways to get a hold of us. If you have assigning questions, that's how you want to get a hold of me. Coaches, your schedules are in Arbiter. All high school varsity games, with one exception, because we're waiting on a finalized date, has been assigned and are in the system. Officials are on all the games. So as of right now, there are no issues. There were a bunch of corrections that had to be made for coverage, and that's been made. There will be turn back, so officials, there will be additional games added to your schedule as people turn games back here and there. It happens. People's schedules changes and stuff like that. Middle school games, the only games that I have for middle school at all are the play dates that they've assigned to almost every weekend through the season. And I haven't assigned most of those. I've only assigned a couple of those, the very early season ones I've assigned. I'm reserving the rest of those for mainly the new guys so they get some games. And then, of course, there'll be a lot of one-off games, a lot of one-off middle school games, which I don't even have their schedule yet. But those will be assigned, for the Wheeling, Central West Virginia, Southern West Virginia area, whenever you guys get those, and either put them in Horizon or send me a message about them. I'll get them taken care of. Okay. Any questions for me about assigning from either of the coaches? If you have official, you have a question about assigning, just hold it until all the coaches leave. Officials are going to stay on the meeting for a little bit afterwards, just briefly. Any questions from the coaches about assigning?
Hey, I don't have a question, but I do want to say to the other coaches while we got you here with Andre, I need to get a finalized time to Andre about the meltdown. So I don't need a response now, but if I only have a handful of teams registered, so if you plan to register, just please do it within the next day or so with Coach Kane. And if you haven't, just do that soon because I have to get that to Andre as soon as possible.
Yes, guys. So please do that because I do harp on Tony all the time about that. I need that schedule, and he can't give it to me if he doesn't have the information. So
where and when is the meltdown? What date?
It's March 11th at East West Stadium. It's an all day tournament. Everybody's guaranteed 3 games. A lot of times we can get 4.
Okay, thank you.
And all the new officials will be there with some veterans with them, working with them to get them their on-field portion of the training covered, the on-field portion that they have to do. I think there's high school on Saturday and youth on Sunday. Is that correct, Tony?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So it'll be on turf. I'm sure the weather will be spectacular.
Did you do you know the start times for Saturday the 11th and Sunday the 12th?
I know for Saturday we'll start at 9 a.m. But that'll be the first game. I don't have enough information to have a full schedule yet. I don't know anything about Sunday. That's really not my deal. All I know is that it happens on Sunday and it is a morning time thing. They're usually done by like 4, I think.
Any other questions from the coaches?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I noticed the banner you have off to your left. I'm glad I'm only seeing half of it, but to your left.
The
Yeah.
University of Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Well, that was my graduate school. So my undergraduate school was, well, I mean, you can see it right there.
That's a strong one. I ran the Penn relays.
Oh yeah.
But I'll send you an offline one on Pitt in a good way, not in a Bigfoot way, but I appreciate everything you do there, Andre.
Absolutely.
Just a little humor.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Pitt was a grad school, so I don't care that much about it, but I did go to grad school there. So. Any other comments from the coaches, questions, concerns before the coaches can head out?
I do have a quick comment. This is DJ from Buchanan.
Mm-hmm.
Any coaches that are coming to play us at home, we got green game balls, lime green game balls. If that's going to be a problem or you don't want to agree to that color, just let me know. I'm still going to send everyone an email, but I just figured I'd throw it out here while I had everybody's attention.
I have an exception to that. I don't feel that's fair. Not really. I'm just being sarcastic.
Of course you would. Yeah, of course you would.
Jimmy. Yeah, love Jimmy.
White balls.
Come on, Jeff. Come on, Jeff. You got to come up to the future, man. It's all good.
All right, coaches, you guys feel free to head off. Officials, you guys stay on for a second. I'll be happy, and then once we're done with any business for the association, then we'll get into just talking to the new officials briefly. So, coaches, you guys can log off and head out, but all officials stay on, please.
All right, everyone. Have a good evening.
See you guys. Okay, I'll give a second there for all the officials to head out, or all the coaches to head out. All right, so for the season, we know that the varsity fee is $85. There's travel fees depending on how far you travel. They should all be listed correctly in Horizon. Whenever you are due a travel fee, it's in there. If you are already at a place, like let's say you're doing 2 games at Buchanan, you don't get 2 travel fees. You would get 1 travel fee for the first game. You would not get a travel fee for the second game. There are a couple days where there are college officials working a college game, and then they're going to Buchanan afterwards. And because they're only 30 minutes away and it's on the way home, they don't get a travel fee for that. You just got to pay the regular fee. But so make sure you do get paid correctly. If you don't, let me know. Make sure your travel fee is listed right so the teams know what to pay you. Sometimes, and I cannot figure out why, the travel fee in Horizon is like $10,427. You're not getting $10,427. If you see a really weird travel fee, let me know. I can go in and manually adjust it. I can't figure out why sometimes it does that. So just be aware. The travel fee is calculated based on the travel distance that the Horizon system says it is for you to travel to that game. So if you're telling me the distance is actually one thing, but the system says it's another, that's what we have to go by. That's what's fair. That's the only thing that's even, so the schools can pay what they need to pay and not have to pay over that. Okay? So be aware of that. Keep your availability up to date. As people turn back games, as new games get added, as games move, I do assign those right away. So, okay, that's upstairs. I do reassign those immediately. So if your availability is up to date, then when I go and assign that you show up as available, you're going to get the game more than likely, especially in a pinch. Turnbacks. If you cannot ref a game, please get a hold of me as soon as possible so I can reassign it. Please do not call me at 1 o'clock to tell me you're not showing up for your game that night because you double booked yourself with another game, or you or feel like you forgot something and you can't go. That's extremely irresponsible. I've had officials who do that in the past, who have double booked themselves and then tell me the day of that they can't make their game. If that's what you do, you will not officiate for me anymore. I'm just done using you, or I'll use you the bare minimum, because you're wasting the team's time, you're wasting my time and other officials' times. Just be responsible and make sure you put your availability in and block off when you can and cannot work. And then if you can't do a game, you need to give me that time frame. You need to, as soon as you know, let me know, and then I can reassign it. I know emergencies happen. Sometimes something happens and something comes up and you just can't do it. I get that, but that should be something that happens once every 2-3 years. If it happens 2-3 times a season that these emergencies pop up, I tend to not believe you at that point, because that doesn't happen. I've been doing this a long time, and that kind of stuff doesn't happen. So you just need to be responsible to make sure your availability is correct and you're doing the games that you're assigned to do and turning them back when you can't do them in a timely manner. And again, I don't mind turnbacks as long as I have people to cover. I don't care. And things come up. I get it. It's not a big deal. But if you do it over and over, then it becomes tiresome and it becomes an issue and a problem. So, anybody have any questions about that?
Andre, I just have a question. I got those IUP games. I know it's like a play day for them.
Yep.
Who is the home teams paying for those, or how's that work? Because IUP plays 2 teams, and then those other 2 teams, I think, play each other or something.
Typically, IUP will pay for the games that they are hosting, where they're the home team or they're involved, and then the other 2 teams will split the fee for the other game. That's usually what happens, but it does vary sometimes. Sometimes the home school pays them all. So when you get up there, you just have to ask them, and you will have to fill out probably a W-2, W-4, and he hasn't tried to enter. And they will usually have you fill out the paperwork and then you get paid, so that you get paid to do those games.
Okay, I just wanted to. I didn't know about just the home the hosting team did it.
Yeah. Just let him know there's no pending person trying to get in the meeting if he's trying to get in. Any other questions for me? Any association questions are going on at all?
Hey, just quick question for the new refs. We have a couple down here. I think Jeff's reached out to them. Are you going to send them an email with their schedule to meet with you virtually and make sure they're up to speed on what they're supposed to take or have completed?
Jeff?
Yes. More likely, tentatively, we're going to get together Friday night, March 3rd, and Friday night, March 10th. But I'll make sure about that, and I'll get that email to you.
And they are going to be expected to work on the 11th and or the 12th up in Fairmont to get that on-field portion of their training. And hopefully most of them are on tonight, because I'm going to go over questions they may have about Horizon and assignments with them tonight. Anything else from anybody? Make sure you get your dues into Terry. If you haven't sent them in, please send them in. $50 for your dues. Your jerseys are, I got an email today that said I got a UPS package coming to me. So I think the jerseys have got mailed out this weekend. So they may be coming this week, your new uniforms. So if you want a more than one, you can contact Janice. Janice will go over what to do and how to get those. And then we'll be talking to the new guys about getting their uniforms also. Jeff, you got anything?
Well, I was just going to welcome everybody to the new 2023 season. We've had a couple seasons there with pandemic stuff going on and everything. I think this season we're just going to go at it. There is still COVID out there, so do what you need to do to protect yourself and make sure everything is okay. However, we have no restrictions from, reading too many things going on at one time. Thus far, I do not believe or know of any other COVID restrictions that are going on anywhere, but be aware that there may be an institution out there or something going on that may still require you to do something, either show you've been vaccinated or ask you to wear a mask, knowing something going on. Hopefully not, but I think this season we're going to be able to get back to just officiating lacrosse and having fun, hopefully.
Ron, you got anything?
Do you want people to let you know about the meltdown when they're available? I mean, you got the availability already.
Yeah, just put it in Horizon.
Yeah, I mean, I already got mine in there. I was just going to tell you, I'll do either, whatever you want me to do, either in the morning or the afternoon,
Okay.
whatever. I'll help you either way.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it. Yeah, what I typically do is I try to divide up a couple veterans between each one to help, and then just spread out the new guys as much as I can to get them in. So
you just want us to shadow them, or you want them to?
Well, at first they'll probably shadow you, and then once they're ready, then you can shadow them. And the whole time though, you make sure you keep it under control. So if they miss something, you blow it and you talk to them about it, stuff like that.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm planning on being down there on Saturday. So we'll see if I can, as long as my schedule stays the way it is, I should be good.
Literally, if my schedule stays the same way as it should, I should be there in the morning as well. So I keep looking at myself. Trust me, my eyes are not closed, but for some reason they look closed. But I should be down there that morning. I do have a college game that afternoon, but I will be there as well.
I have to work that night, so I have to be back in Pittsburgh by 6 o'clock. But I'm trying to do that in the morning.
Well, if you guys can do the morning, I'll be there in the afternoon then, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Hey, are you going to sign that on Arbiter, or do we have to enter something if we're available that day? Like, I'm available all day, so I just wanted to make sure.
If you mean
how you're going about it.
Horizon.
Yeah, if you already got your availability, I just was telling Andre for the day. I mean, whatever you guys need. I can do morning or afternoon.
Okay. But yeah, it'll just come out on.
Yeah, same here for me. Okay. So I just thought you meant that I had to go in Horizon and schedule myself.
No.
So
no,
I'm open.
And then I'll like, if you want to work it as a veteran, just send me an email. And then what I'll do is I'll try and make sure you're on it. Like, if you're coming up with somebody from the South and you want to bring them up together, you guys want to all come up together, just send me an email. I'll let you know. If I can handle that, I should be able to do that. So.
Okay.
Anything else from anybody?
I think we're good.
All right. Remember, if you're doing make sure you're doing certification cards. You can download and print them from US Lacrosse. You can download the youth rule book from US Lacrosse also.
I have a question about the helmet.
What who, me?
Jared.
Okay. What's
your question?
I'm in high school currently, and what I do with my helmet is there's like this strap on the back where I can tighten it or loosen it, and I use it like I'll have it to where like if it's tight then it's secured, and if it's loosened then I can just slip off my helmet. I was wondering if I have to change that because of the rule.
The question is it tight during the times that you are playing?
Yeah, while I'm playing, it's like tight at all times, and then like walking off the field or during a timeout, I'll just loosen it and then like slip it off or slip it to the top of my head.
Yes, that would be allowable.
Any other questions? All right, please make sure you're giving out certification cards. It's a liability thing. It's also allows the coaches to know who you are, especially when you're newer. Want to make sure your names are on the certification cards that you hand out. So if there's any problems or issues, they know who to contact, who they're talking about whenever they play. They should be able to look into Horizon and see who the officials are, but it's a little bit easier too, especially when they get to know you as you're newer, you're moving up, and start to get known by the coaches and whatnot.
Hey, Andre, do you have any of those on card stock? I ran out of them.
I do not.
Okay.
We can think the only problem is we can get them printed, but getting them to everybody's an issue because we're all spread out. So
I understand. I'll figure it out because I got a couple old ones, but I'll get them. I just didn't know if you had any card stock ones.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have any. I have I probably have 20 left total. And that's it. That might get me through this season myself, and then that's it.
Yeah. All right.
All right, veteran officials, returning. You guys can head out. Me and Jeff are going to stay and talk to, and Ron, you're welcome to stay. Talk to the new